Beneath the seemingly eternal glow of the British royal family, the relationship between King Charles, Prince William, and Princess Kate was once hailed as the solid foundation for the monarchy's future. Charles, the father who had weathered countless storms; William, the eldest son seen as the ideal heir to the throne; and Kate, the beloved daughter-in-law admired by the public, standing faithfully beside her husband through every twist of fate. This powerful trio gave the public reason to believe that no matter how turbulent the monarchy's path might become, its future was secured by their unity and quiet resilience. But now, that sacred bond has been painfully shattered. A shocking announcement, delivered directly from King Charles himself, left William and Kate frozen in disbelief, reeling from a profound emotional blow. The once unshakable father-son relationship teeters on the edge of collapse, while the unwavering loyalty the couple had shown to the crown faces an unprecedented test. What could have driven the king to speak such heartbreaking words, and why did it bring his eldest son to tears right inside the palace walls? The truth behind this royal shock is about to be revealed. At the beginning of 2024, as the United Kingdom was still adjusting to life under a new monarch, an unexpected and shocking moment arrived. It was something no one ever imagined would happen, and certainly not something anyone was prepared for. It wasn't a political speech, nor a royal reform plan. It had nothing to do with tradition or power. It was a deeply personal revelation, something no one thought a king, especially someone as private as Charles, would ever dare to share in public. The king, known for his composure and calm demeanor in front of the media, could no longer hide it. He stepped in front of the cameras and for the first time admitted a truth that shook the entire kingdom. He was battling a serious illness, cancer. It all started with a routine health check. A minor surgery was scheduled in January to treat an enlarged prostate. The palace announced it calmly, reassuring the public that there was nothing to worry about. But that was just the surface. Behind the stone walls of the palace, a silent nightmare was beginning. Further scans quietly uncovered a darker reality. It wasn't just a benign issue. It was cancer. A cold, terrifying word with the power to shake even the crown. By February, the doctors had given a full diagnosis. The details were never made public, but for those closest to the king, the atmosphere of dread was undeniable. Fear filled every glance and every breath inside the palace. Many advisors urged him to stay silent. That had always been the royal one. Pain kept private, illness hidden, emotions filtered behind duty. But this time, Charles refused. He said no, and he chose to speak the truth. No reigning king in modern history had ever openly revealed such a private struggle. But Charles did. He didn't just break the silence. He overturned a centuries-old royal rule. Under the bright spotlight of public attention, he chose to be a human being, not just a symbol of power. The world watched closely. The press, usually hungry for scandal, shifted its tone. There were no sensational headlines, no reckless speculation. Instead, there was genuine concern. The story had changed. It was no longer about the crown or politics. It was about a man facing a life-threatening illness and the deep emotions that come with it. Inside the cold stone walls of the palace, emotions surged like a storm with no escape. Prince William stood at the center of it all, bearing a weight he had never imagined. He had always known that the crown might one day call his name, but no one expected that day to arrive so soon and with such force. As he struggled to keep his composure, Catherine, his wife and partner, was quietly fighting a health battle of her own. While the monarchy trembled under the shadow of the king's illness, William and Catherine were not just grappling with fear for a father and a sovereign. They were staring into a future that suddenly felt terrifyingly real. The question was no longer whether Charles would recover. The question now was what would happen if he could not continue. The truth brought no peace. It opened a floodgate of questions no one dared ask aloud. Was this the beginning of a new kind of monarchy? or the quiet unraveling of an era reaching its end in the growing silence. The nation watched and waited. Camilla remained close to Charles. She had stood beside him through years of judgment and scandal. Her instinct was to protect him, to shield the family and the crown from chaos. But as she watched him grow weaker, something shifted within her. She realized this was not just about preserving power. This was about finding the strength to be human. When King Charles finally spoke of his illness, there was no fanfare, no ceremony, just a carefully worded statement from the palace in early February 2024. It confirmed that the king was undergoing treatment for cancer. No further details were revealed, but even that was enough to shake the nation. For the first time, behind the formality, people saw a man stripped of pretense. There were no grand declarations, no orchestrated moments of sympathy, just a quiet truth that landed with extraordinary weight. The king, once seen as distant and stoic, now appeared vulnerable and real, not because of power, but because of honesty, not through strength, but through the courage to speak from fear. That moment would mark a turning point. King Charles was no longer only a monarch. He became a father, a husband, a man staring down the hardest chapter of his life, someone the public could finally relate to. And by revealing what he had once hidden, he brought something new to the throne, a heartbeat. It reached far beyond royal life. Health experts quickly noticed a change. People began talking more about cancer, asking questions about early signs and screenings. Charities saw increased donations. Doctors received more calls from people wanting checkups. Many lives were touched, some even saved, because the king chose to speak. That choice gave the role of a monarch new meaning. It was no longer just about events, ceremonies, or traditions. It also meant being someone who reflects the struggles of the people, who doesn't hide pain, but shows it with strength. While the king dealt with his illness, his family was also deeply affected. Within the palace, emotions ran high. The royal family had never faced something like this. The news of the king's health shook everyone close to him. Prince William had always known he would one day take the throne. He had lived his whole life under that weight, but nothing could prepare him for the fear of losing his father. Watching the king's health fade slowly, helplessly, was something no title could shield him from. The strong, tall figure he had always looked up to was now weaker, moving slower, looking tired. The image stayed with him, casting a shadow over his thoughts. William was no longer just a future king. He was a worried son. Each time he stepped in front of cameras, it took everything to appear calm. Inside, he was filled with worry. Every day felt longer. But that wasn't the end of the bad news. At the same time, Princess Catherine was quietly facing her own battle. What began as a routine health check turned into something far more serious. The discovery of her illness was shocking and deeply painful. Still, she chose to remain strong. She kept her pain private, especially for their children, waiting for the right moment to speak. When Catherine finally addressed the public on March 22, 2024, her voice trembled slightly, but she held steady. She spoke bravely with full honesty. She didn't just show strength. She redefined what it meant to be strong. She carried a heavy weight with grace. Together, William and Catherine were thrust into a storm they couldn't control. Royal life had prepared them for many things, but not for this, not for watching each other hurt, not for hiding tears from their children. Every normal moment became more meaningful. They did their best to protect George, Charlotte, and Louis from sadness. They knew the world was watching, but what truly mattered was how their children felt. They wanted them to feel love, safety, and stability. Even Prince Harry, who had been distant from the family, made a private visit after learning about the king's diagnosis. For a short time, past issues were set aside. The focus was solely on family. In the face of so much pain and fear, the royal family found a way to carry on not through grand gestures or speeches, but through love, honesty, and quiet acts of courage. In doing so, they connected with people in a way they never had before, preparing the future crown. Charles was still battling cancer, but he had reached a point where life felt manageable again. Slowly, he began returning to his duties, choosing each one carefully. Every appearance seemed more thoughtful, more meaningful. He was no longer the same man who first wore the crown. Pain had changed him. Experience had softened him. He had become more connected to the people than ever before. Everything he did now came from a place of deeper understanding. While carrying on with his current role, Charles was also looking ahead. He started thinking seriously about what would come next, wanting to shape the future in a way that felt right to him. Even though he was still sick and bound by heavy traditions, Charles began making significant decisions that would endure long after he was gone. Most people watched him closely and praised his strength, but they didn't see what was happening behind the scenes. Quietly and carefully, Charles was steering the royal family in a new direction. At the heart of it all was one deeply personal goal he wanted Catherine, the Princess of Wales, to be recognized not just as the wife of a future king, but as queen in her own right when the time came. This wasn't just about titles. It was about leaving a meaningful legacy. Those close to him said this idea had been growing slowly. It wasn't rushed, but came from observing her repeatedly. Through difficult times, Catherine stood strong. She kept working without seeking attention. Charles admired how she carried herself with strength. Even when things were hard, he saw something in her that reminded him of what his own mother had once seen in him, that same deep sense of duty. When the royal family faced challenging moments, Catherine helped hold everything together, never seeking praise. That meant more to Charles than anything else. It showed she could be trusted. Now Charles felt ready to do something rare, make a choice that other monarchs had avoided. He was willing to step into uncertain territory and speak clearly about what he believed the future should look like. At first, the news came through whispers inside the palace. Then it began reaching the public. People started talking. They said the king's wish was for Catherine to be formally known as queen when William became king. It was similar to what Queen Elizabeth had done in 2022, but this time it felt different. Catherine had never been surrounded by controversy. She had gradually become a symbol of hope. Her own struggle with cancer, her honesty, and her strength made her even more admired. She had become someone the people could truly relate to and trust. Charles believed that if the monarchy was to survive in the years ahead, it needed someone like her at its center. Old rules about titles in the royal line had always been strict, designed to protect tradition. But Charles no longer felt bound by them. He had lived through years of pressure caused by those old rules. His entire life had been shaped by traditions that didn't always make sense. He didn't want William and Catherine to face the same burdens. So he began to act. He bestowed new honors and brought them closer to the heart of royal life. He wasn't just thinking of them as the next in line. He was preparing them to lead. Even those who usually didn't care about the royal family found themselves supporting Princess Catherine. In a country weary of royal drama and seeking stability, she seemed to be exactly what people wanted. She was calm, kind, and strong. She made people feel safe. Politicians also began to watch carefully. With Charles facing health problems and showing both strength and vulnerability, Catherine as queen started to feel not just acceptable, but expected. For William, this was about more than preparing to rule. He saw it as a way to carry forward everything his father had worked to protect. The titles, public appearances, and formal ceremonies were part of a larger effort. He and Catherine weren't just waiting for their turn. They were already helping rebuild the trust and respect the monarchy needed. The idea of the future no longer seemed distant to William. Over the past year, his role had changed. He was no longer just an heir. He had begun taking on the real responsibilities of shaping the monarchy's direction. His place in the family had grown more important. His father, through effort and thoughtful planning, had laid the path for what he believed was the right future for him, a future that didn't just preserve tradition, but gave it new meaning. Where Catherine, shaped by strength and kindness, would stand as queen, not just beside William, but truly with him, from commoner to royalty. The moment Catherine Middleton stepped into the royal spotlight after marrying into the royal family, people everywhere stopped to watch. The woman who once lived a regular life as a student had become a strong and graceful figure in the royal family. At 43, Catherine was no longer just the Princess of Wales. She had become a key part of the royal family. Since marrying Prince William in 2011, she had gradually taken on more royal duties. After Queen Elizabeth passed away in 2022, Catherine's role became even more significant. The Queen had ruled longer than any monarch in British history, and her passing marked a major change. Now, Catherine was stepping into a new role, helping guide the royal family alongside her husband, Prince William. She did this with care and grace, ensuring she remained strong for those around her. Unlike other women who had married into the royal family, Catherine did not grow up in luxury or nobility. Diana came from a noble family, and Camilla's relatives had titles. But Catherine's background was different. Her father worked in aviation, and her mother had been a flight attendant. Her grandparents worked in coal mines. Catherine was raised in a normal home, and her mother had grown up in public housing. Nothing about her early life pointed to royalty, yet she would go on to become the first queen in modern British history from a background without titles or wealth. Still, Catherine always worked hard and had a strong mind. She studied at Marlborough College, where she excelled in school and sports. Later, she attended the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. That decision changed her life. It was there she met Prince William. At first, they were just friends, living in a shared house with other students. Over time, that friendship turned into love. By 2004, they were a couple. The following year, Catherine graduated with a degree in art history. As her relationship with William grew, the media began to follow her every move. Photographers snapped pictures everywhere, and newspapers wrote endless stories about her. The attention became overwhelming, and William asked the press to give her space. Her lawyers also stepped in to request privacy. Despite this, Catherine and William stayed together. In 2007, they briefly broke up to reflect on their future. But their bond was strong, and they reunited soon after. People across the country were waiting for an engagement. As time passed, some newspapers mocked Catherine, giving her rude nicknames and saying she was waiting too long. Some even speculated William might never propose. But Catherine remained impatient, unrushed. When the engagement was announced in 2010, followed by their wedding in 2011, the world celebrated. The ceremony was filled with joy, beauty, and tradition. Life inside the royal family wasn't always smooth. Some believed Catherine didn't belong. It was said that Camilla looked down on her, thinking she wasn't the right match for William. But Queen Elizabeth saw her differently. The Queen admired Catherine's calm nature and her ability to handle pressure from the media and public. She noticed Catherine's steady presence and believed she would be a great asset to the monarchy's future. However, before Catherine officially joined the royal family, the Queen had concerns. She thought Catherine and William spent too much time on holidays and not enough working. She wanted Catherine to have a real job before becoming royal. Though this advice hurt Catherine at the time, she listened. She helped her mother's party planning business, improved her photography skills, and followed fashion trends closely. These experiences gave her confidence, kept her busy, and helped her grow while awaiting the next stage of her life. Over the years, she began participating in more public events and charity work. She visited hospitals, schools, and communities across the United Kingdom and other countries. She devoted time to causes like mental health, family support, and early education. She listened to people and made them feel seen. Her kindness made her a role model for many. As the wife of the future king and mother of a future heir, she has carved her own path. Her life has had challenges, but she faced them with strength. Through every event, she grew more confident and respected. Her journey has taken her from a normal family home to one of the most important roles in the royal family. She carries that role with dignity and care. Her story continues to inspire many who see her as proof that grace, effort, and calm leadership can shape a remarkable life, a well-deserved recognition. Catherine's early years as a royal were not easy. She had to learn palace life while facing constant public scrutiny. Everything she did was noticed. People watched closely, looking for mistakes or moments of weakness. But she persevered slowly, adjusting to this new life with care and confidence. One of the most important relationships she built during those early years was with Queen Elizabeth II. It didn't happen immediately, but over time, their connection grew stronger. They spent time together at royal events, sat side by side during long car rides, and often appeared together at public gatherings. Even amid crowds and flashing cameras, they shared small smiles and glances that showed a deeper understanding. Their closeness came from time, patience, and mutual respect. The Queen valued tradition and order, disliking sudden change. Over time, she saw consistency in Catherine, while others brought drama, headlines, or tried to change too much too quickly. Catherine remained calm. She worked hard, followed the rules, and didn't seek attention. She quietly observed, learned, and stayed true to the values that had guided the royal family for generations. As time passed, their relationship became more evident. Palace insiders noticed how often the Queen asked Catherine to join her. They shared meetings, made plans, and often had private tea together. The Queen trusted Catherine's opinions and respected her careful approach to duties. Catherine brought peace and stability without scandals. Meanwhile, Camilla was working to find her place. She had faced many struggles before being accepted by the public. Even as Queen Consort, she didn't receive the same warmth or trust that Catherine had earned. Camilla attended events, supported Charles Borsault, and showed loyalty to the crown. But the admiration for Catherine was different, deep and widespread. She never made public mistakes, and her image remained strong and clean. Inside the palace, this difference caused tension. Camilla felt it. She had worked years to be accepted, while Catherine earned love and praise much more quickly. Nobody spoke of it openly, but the feeling was there. During family events and official visits, Catherine remained unaffected. She stayed focused, smiled, did her work, and avoided gossip or drama. When other royals made headlines for the wrong reasons, Catherine stayed in the background. She never lost control. Even during tough times when the royal family faced criticism and public pressure, Catherine sat with the Queen and senior royals to strategize. They discussed handling problems, responding to scandals, and choosing whom to trust. Afterward, Catherine never spoke of these talks, and she kept everything private, following the Queen's example. This quiet approach showed her strength. Catherine didn't need to argue or defend herself. She didn't fight back against rumors. She simply did her job day after day. This resilience reminded many of the Queen's long years of leadership. Slowly but people began to see Catherine as someone who could carry that same strength into the future. The Queen noticed all of this. She saw in Catherine someone who would protect the royal family without changing it too quickly. Some women in the royal family had tried to mimic the Queen's style, hoping to win respect. But Catherine never imitated anyone. She honored tradition while remaining herself. She did thoughtful things that people remembered, like sending thank you cards after visits or calling people to ask about their families. These simple acts showed she genuinely cared. As the Queen's health declined, she relied on Catherine even more. Catherine stayed close. She helped with plans and completed her duties promptly. She was always ready, always reliable. After the Queen's passing, Catherine's role became even more vital. But she also prioritized her children, picking them up from school, helping with homework, and making time for family life. She chose royal duties close to home to return to them quickly. She balanced her roles with great care. With Prince Harry and Meghan stepping away from royal life, more work fell to William and Catherine. The pressure grew, and the public looked to them more than ever. William had to lead and be a father simultaneously. It wasn't easy, But Catherine supported him every step of the way. People across the country noticed. They saw how much Catherine did without seeking praise. Many now see her as someone who will help guide the royal family in the years ahead. Meanwhile, plans have been set for the future Operation Menai Bridge. In royal life, every day involves careful planning for the future. Even in normal times, important steps are updated behind palace walls to keep the royal system running smoothly. No matter what happens, plans ensure everything moves in an organized way, especially during major changes like the passing of a king. Though the public may not see this work, these plans prevent anything from being overlooked when the time comes. If King Charles were to pass, the royal family would be the first to hear the news. The Prime Minister would be informed next, followed by the public. Outside Buckingham Palace's gates, a black-bordered notice would announce the sad news. Flags across the country would be lowered to half-mast. A deep sense of sorrow would sweep the nation, which would enter a period of mourning. At that moment, Prince William would become king. This would happen immediately, though the official coronation would take longer. Such events are large and require months of planning. When Queen Elizabeth passed, King Charles waited 8 months before his coronation in March 2023. A similar delay would likely occur with Prince William. Until the ceremony, he would assume all monarch duties. After King Charles's passing is confirmed, his body would be moved from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. People from across the United Kingdom would come to pay their respects, many waiting hours to see the king lying in state. The royal family uses code names for such operations, and this one is called Operation Menai Bridge, named after a famous bridge in Wales, linking it to Charles's former title as Prince of Wales. The plan has existed for years but became more serious after Queen Elizabeth's funeral. After King Charles is buried, another major event would follow Prince William's coronation, officially making him king in the eyes of the world, though he would already be acting as king. Preparing a coronation is a massive task, requiring many people, special invitations, religious events, and security. It cannot happen immediately. When Queen Elizabeth's father passed, she waited 16 months for her crowning. A similar delay could occur with Prince William. As of now, there is no sign that King Charles cannot perform his royal work. Since his 2024 health diagnosis, he has continued meeting with the Prime Minister and handling key duties. However, if his health worsens and he can no longer perform his role, a regency might be considered. The Regency Act of 1937 outlines what happens if a monarch can no longer fulfill their duties. It allows the next in line to take over without the current monarch leaving the throne. In this case, Prince William would assume all royal work but wouldn't officially become king or be crowned immediately. This ensures the royal family keeps everything running smoothly during difficult times. The last use of this law was about 200 years ago, when the future King George IV acted as Prince Regent. To enact this law today, at least 3 of 5 key figures must agree in writing: Queen Camilla, the Lord Chancellor, the Speaker of the House of Commons, the Lady Chief Justice, and the Master of the Rolls. King Charles would not be involved in the decision or need to give permission. If Queen Camilla outlives King Charles, she would receive a new title, likely Queen Dowager, meaning the king's widow. After King George VI passed in 1952, his wife was called the Queen Mother. But Camilla would not receive that title, as it's reserved for the mother of the ruling monarch. That title would have gone to Princess Diana had she lived. As William's mother, Camilla would likely continue working on causes like literacy and supporting domestic violence victims. She might also remain involved with military groups where she holds honorary roles. These roles would likely be reviewed with the new monarch, though she would need to move out of Buckingham Palace, possibly choosing a smaller, more private home. Even now, detailed planning continues behind the scenes. The royal household remains prepared for every possible change. These efforts ensure that when a difficult moment arrives, everything happens respectfully and organizedly. Through calm leadership, steady actions, and careful planning, The royal family moves forward while preserving its long traditions. The weight of change on the royal family is immense. Princess Anne, known for her strength and seriousness, recently arranged a special family meeting. This was no ordinary gathering. It brought together the entire royal family, including Prince Harry, who had long stayed away. Though he attended, Meghan Markle did not. Her feelings about the royal family remained unchanged, and she kept her distance as before. Her absence, while expected, stood out. The meeting was neither friendly nor easy. There were no warm greetings or light conversations. From the start, the mood was heavy. Everyone soon realized they hadn't gathered for a minor family matter. The reason was serious and deeply personal. Tension filled the room. Voices were raised, and some family members couldn't hold back tears. What began as a private conversation quickly became a difficult and stormy moment. The weight of Charles's role as king was heavier than ever. This time in his life made him think more seriously about the future. He knew decisions had to be made soon. That's why this family meeting was so significant. It wasn't just emotional. It was filled with important plans and changes. King Charles wasn't planning to simply step aside and hand everything to Prince William carelessly. He had created a plan to ensure the monarchy would endure tough times and continue leading with purpose. There was a reason Princess Anne took charge during this meeting. Over the years, she had proven she could be firm and clear, never shying away from tough topics and always speaking directly. King Charles, known for his softer side, likely knew it would be hard to share such serious news without showing emotion. So, he turned to Anne. She stepped in with strength and spoke plainly. Everyone listened carefully. This new plan didn't alter Prince William's future as king that was already clear. William would become king when Charles passed, and Catherine would become queen. This was well understood inside and outside the family, but something else had come into focus. The possibility of Prince Harry returning to a royal role was being discussed again. After stepping away from royal duties and moving overseas, most thought he would never return. But that idea was slowly changing. Talks suggested Harry might consider returning in a small way. His return wouldn't affect the line of succession. William remains next, followed by his children. But Harry's role could still be significant. In a time of change, the royal family may need to project unity. Having both of Charles's sons standing together could help maintain public trust and strengthen the family's image. To understand how things reached this point, it helps to look back. Queen Elizabeth didn't grow up expecting to become queen. Her uncle's abdication to Mary changed everything, making her next in line. Years later, Charles took the throne after her historic reign. Now, a similar shift is beginning to take shape. Preparations are being made behind closed doors. A new chapter for the royal family is forming, even as King Charles continues his duties. Though active, his illness has slowed him down. He has started relying more on William and Catherine, who are taking on greater responsibilities. Catherine especially is becoming more visible. She attends more royal events, speaks publicly with greater confidence, and is preparing for her future role. These changes are happening sooner than expected but are necessary. Though Charles hasn't spoken of stepping aside, the signs are clear. He is planning ahead. He wants to ensure everything is ready before he is gone. This family meeting was part of that process, a chance to speak honestly and align everyone on the choices being made and the direction ahead. Now people are watching Prince Harry. His next steps could matter more than anyone thought. Will he stay away, or will he slowly return in some way? This is no longer just about royal titles or public roles. It's personal. It's about keeping the family together and protecting the future. As William and Catherine take on stronger roles, space for Harry's return might open. Time is moving quickly, and the royal family is adapting fast. The next few months may reveal how much change is truly coming. Another possible revelation from Prince Harry looms. After King Charles passes, people wonder if Harry will share more about his royal life. His first book caused a stir with its personal details. Now, many believe another book might be coming. Since moving to the United States with Meghan Markle, Harry has started a new life, but his royal story seems far from over. In recent years, he has grown more distant from his family. In early 2024, he said he still cared for them, but his actions have raised doubts about their closeness. Reports suggest Harry occasionally speaks to his father, but their conversations are likely brief and informal. His relationship with his older brother, William, is even worse. They barely communicate. Though Harry stepped away from royal duties, his history with the monarchy still follows him. One royal expert believes Harry might be waiting for a significant moment, perhaps when William becomes king, to share more of his truth. When his first book was released in early 2023, it shocked readers worldwide with its emotional, bold, and personal stories. The book brought him significant money and attention. Its timing was notable, coming shortly after Queen Elizabeth II's passing. Harry admitted he had written more than what was published, hinting at enough material for a second book, though some dismissed the idea. Now, a second book seems plausible. An expert suggests Harry may have waited out of respect for his father, and with Charles gone, the moment might feel right. Commentator Kinsey Schofield has discussed the possibility, noting earlier whispers that Harry might continue his story after the Queen's passing. As things stand, Harry may feel free to speak again, especially if he feels there's little left to protect. With his relationship with William still fractured, he might want to explain his side through writing. The rift between Harry and William began years ago. Around 2016, when Harry started dating Meghan, William reportedly thought he was rushing. That disagreement created a serious break, and they never repaired the damage. Some hope they might reconcile, but that seems less likely each year. Worse, insiders believe that when William becomes king, he might fully remove Harry and Meghan's royal titles. Though they gave up official roles and agreed not to use their titles after stepping down in 20, they technically retain them. Reports suggest William feels Harry has gone too far in speaking against the family and might seek to cut stronger ties. If William takes the crown, he could take a firmer stance. William reportedly believes Harry deeply hurt the family, adding more pressure and distance between them. Some insiders say he wouldn't hesitate to take serious action if given the power. For now, William follows King Charles's lead. Despite his health struggles, Charles retains final say in family and royal matters. Charles has tried to avoid further conflict with Harry and Meghan, aiming to prevent more pain unless absolutely necessary. His focus is keeping the family calm and stable, especially amid his illness. The royal family now accepts that Harry and Meghan are no longer working royals, and their place in the system has changed. As the world watches what happens next, all eyes are on the brothers. Though Harry has built a life far from royal duties, the past still weighs heavily. As the royal family prepares for a future without King Charles, more changes may come. Throughout everything, one person has remained loyal to the royal family, standing firm despite pain, loss, and public battles. Although the future of the British monarchy after King Charles remains uncertain, one thing is clear: change is coming, and it may shake the foundations of the royal family as we know it. Will Prince William have the strength and vision to preserve this centuries-old legacy? Or will this be the moment when the public starts to call for a new kind of leadership, more open and more connected to the people? In the end, everything depends on the trust people place in the next generation. What do you think about the future of the monarchy after King Charles passes away? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any of our future stories. And before you go, take a look at the other videos showing on your screen. You might discover something truly fascinating.